What is happening, everybody? Jeff C. here, back with another book review. And this time, I've been reading something that is probably in the legendary status. I have ventured into my first Agatha Christie novel, the first Hercule Poirot mystery, and it is called The Mysterious Affair at Styles. So this book it was really nice. My wife and I picked it up on our Austin trip, so we've had it for a little bit. I actually like this version. This is from vintagebooks.com. I believe it's a division of Penguin. I don't know, I like that cover. I love this sort of like Bavarian or German architecture. I've always been a big fan of that, but it's always been like one of those things where I'm like, I don't know if I would have my house built like this, but I don't know, I like the way it looks. Getting into the story, it's kind of like what I said when my review of The Hobbit, like, what am I going to say about this that hasn't been said a billion times before? I mean, it's Agatha Christie. There's a reason you've been hearing that name for years, if not decades. I mean, she was a master. I'm glad that I have been able to start at the beginning. I'll just go right off and say it. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it a 3.75 on Goodreads, or on Fable, which translates to about a 4-star on Goodreads. It's pretty straightforward. Whodunit, murder of a mystery of the week type thing. It is not actually told from Poirot's point of view. It's one of his friends telling the story, and so you do meet him pretty soon in the book, and he kind of tries to solve a poisoning that has happened at this estate. And there's a cast of characters, and Christie is very good at making you believe that it could have been any one of them. And I liked the ending. It was I wouldn't say I'm completely surprised at the ending. There were a couple things that once it was revealed, I was like, yeah, I was wondering about that. I even was talking to my wife. I said, oh, what about this thing? And I don't want to say it, obviously, if you haven't read this book. But yeah, Agatha Christie, awesome. I look forward to reading more of her work. I've always been a fan of cop shows and whodunit shows, true crime. I grew up watching Hill Street Blues and Matlock, so any of that type of stuff where that 99% of the time they're going to figure out who did it. And, it was always a surprise when they didn't. I was like, oh shit, he got away with it, or whoever it was got away with it. So I'm curious to see if there's going to be an Agatha Christie novel where it's not solved at the end of it. I don't know. I believe she wrote 70 novels, I think I read somewhere. Maybe on Wikipedia or something. But, so, I don't know. Also, with this edition, where my wife and I were discussing if we want to get all of these, there's only 12 in this edition. We like it feels nice in your hand. The way this texture is on the cover is pretty cool. I don't know. I'm the type, though, if I go to half-price books or something and see a used set that's complete, I might just buy the whole damn set. So yeah, for what it's, what it is what it is. I mean, she defines a genre. I'm sure many of you have read Agatha Christie. If you've read this book in particular, let me know down in the comments what your thoughts were. What do you think, should I read all of the Hercule Poirot books before going off to whatever the other one is, I forget her name. My plan right now has just been to read her works in publication order. So I'd have to figure out whichever one's next. I don't know. On the inside, the Murder on the Links or The Secret Adversary. That's just a couple that are listed on the cover here. But yeah, so as far as just straight ahead, the story, it's good. Great. I enjoyed my time with the book. 100% going to read more Agatha Christie. Will I reread this? I don't know. I mean, maybe if I live long enough, I could see myself rereading it someday, but there's a lot of other Agatha Christie that I want to read, and just a lot of other authors that I also want to read. So for now, I'll keep this one, and certainly, or if somebody wants to borrow it, I'll let them read it. But what I also want to discuss before I wrap this up is just something that was like weird that happened with my reading of this. So a couple things that happened. One, a few weeks ago, I watched a YouTube video it's kind of like a lecture from the American physicist Richard Feynman. And he very just quickly was kind of discussing a way to tell somebody how humans interact with time and space. And so what he says, and I'll kind of paraphrase it, is if you're driving a car on a two-dimensional plane, straight forward north, you're giving all of your momentum at that time to north. And he says if you maintain the same speed and turn your wheel to the right, you are now heading north and east. So now you are splitting up some of your momentum between north and east. Then he goes on to say, if a person is sitting in a chair, static, they are giving all of their, I want to say momentum, but I don't know if that's the right word, but all of their energy, let's say, to time, right? You are just sitting still, but time is still having its total effect on you. However, if you get up and walk, you are now splitting up your energy between time and space because you are moving through space. And he said that difference in how much of space and time is why time can move at different rates for different things. So a person just walking down the street is giving X amount of themselves to the time, whereas an airplane is moving a lot faster through space. So I believe it gets less energy to time. And that is why when you're going super fast through an outer space, time slows down. And so that's kind of just a very oversimplified way of him explaining how time slows down. So that was cool. Now couple that whole thing being in my head to I'm currently reading 3 books right now. Well, 2 books. One, I don't want to say what the name is yet, but it's one that I read. I kind of save it for Monday through Friday earlier in the day because it's more of a nonfiction book. But it has to do with literature and such. And once I'm done, I'll do a review. But one of the concepts in that book is about, and it's something that I think we all know, but me particularly, I just don't keep it at the forefront of my mind while I'm reading something seemingly simplistic like this novel. And that's just how, obviously, if you read a word, it could have a different definition depending on the geographical location of the author and the time of the author. So that whole space and time type thing, it just from the Richard Feynman video, it just leached into my thinking about words and groupings of words or sentences as a product of also space and time, just as humans are. I don't know, dude, am I getting too deep for an Agatha Christie novel? But I don't know, this is how my brain works sometimes. And so there was a sentence in this book that it stumped me because it had a word that I've very familiar with, but I'm familiar with as a verb. And I, up to this point, hadn't really ever thought of this word as an adjective. And so I'm going to read this little thing. It's a quote. Somebody is speaking to somebody else, and they say, "I don't know what to do. Scandal between husband and wife is a dreadful thing. At 4 o'clock, she has been angry, but completely mistress of herself. At 5 o'clock, she is in violent distress and speaks of having a great shock." So when I read that, I was like, I've never seen the word mistress as like an adjective. I think we all know of like, if someone has a mistress or whatever, you think of almost like a side chick or whatever. But now looking at it as an adjective, so I went online just to Google and asked it like, hey, what is this actually saying? And so, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It's saying completely mistress means to gain total control over her emotions, behavior, and circumstances. And so I was like, oh, okay, it's cool. I mean, again, and I don't know if there's even a reason for me doing this besides just to like say like, oh, okay, it's just cool that the book that I'm reading through the days, the nonfiction book, is evolving who I am as a reader. And it's just making me stop and think a little deeper about some of the things that before I might have just went over that, and other stuff. And so I'm looking forward to other books that I read now and hoping that I don't just assume that I know what an author is really communicating to me in a sentence just because I apply the my modern definition of a word. Whereas like, well, if this was written 100 years ago, do I actually know what the author was trying to say? And so, I don't know, I just thought that was interesting. And so, yeah, just a little side tangent about that one. It was just, that one sentence. I was like, and it sent me down this whole rabbit hole, and it made me think of, I'm glad that I just watched that Richard Feynman video, and of course I've added a few of his books to my TBR. So I don't know if any of y'all have read Richard Feynman or not. If you have, let me know in the comments. Is there somewhere I should start? But anyway, that's The Mysterious Affair at Styles. I liked it a lot. I highly recommend, spending some time with it. It's a nice little icebreaker or palate cleanser, if you will. And so that's what I'm kind of using it for. Like I said, I'm reading a nonfiction book that's about 450 pages, taking my time with it. I'm doing a lot of annotation, a lot of underlining. So once I'm done with that, I want to make sure I have like a good little outline of something that I can kind of describe to you guys what that book is and what it's about. I already know I'm going to be going back to it a lot. It's already a 7-star read to me. I've also been reading, Raymond Feist's The Magician, which the version I have is about 850-ish pages. But I'm just reading, I have to the end of February to finish that to kind of follow along with Mike's book reviews. He's reading the trilogy, but he's taking 4 months to read it. And so I just taking my time with it. I'm reading 1 chapter a day. I think it's like 44 chapters, so I'll be done with it mid-February. Really enjoying it. It came out in, I believe, October of 1982, so it's just it's a nice fantasy kitchen boy in the castle gets thrown into some quests and grows as a result of it. And so, I'm really enjoying that, but I won't be doing a review for that book till sometime mid to late February. So I kind of need another book, right? If I'm only reading the nonfiction in the mornings, that's only weekday mornings, and I'm only reading 1 chapter a day for the Feist, what I've been doing is after I was done with my chapter, I would open this up and just read. So I don't know what's gonna be the next little book. I have a couple of ideas, but I don't know, man. There's some times where I try to like say this is the next book I want to read, but I have to just. Sometimes until I go to the shelf and pick it up, I don't know if I'm going to read it or not, or what's going to be next. But we are going to be going to Oklahoma. Let's see, it's Monday. We're going to be going this Thursday, so I'll want to have something to read while I'm there too, besides those 2 books. And I don't know, who knows? I've kind of thought about maybe speeding up the Feist. We'll see. So all that being said, I appreciate you guys who are watching my videos. You know, it's just a nice little log, and I know I've been mainly doing book reviews, but I also want to just have other stuff that I do. I've been playing a lot. I need to get back to maybe recording some bass videos and putting them up. Just something, you know, who knows, maybe my nephews will watch it later in life and be like, oh, that's cool. I don't know, or maybe not. Yeah, so please thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe, please like, and let me know what you're reading. Again, I'm on Fable, I'm on Goodreads, so I'd love to interact with you guys there. And I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, peace.